Hi, and welcome to the Chelsea Football Club history. Before the video starts, well, it's already started, so that's defeated. Please can you like the video and subscribe. Here is the Chelsea's history. In 1904, Gus Mears acquired the Stamford Bridge Athletic Stadium with the aim of turning it into a football ground. An offer to lease it to nearby Fulham was turned down, so Mears opted to found his own club to use the stadium, as there was already a team named Fulham in the borough. The name of the adjacent borough of Chelsea was chosen for the new club. Names like Kensington FC, Stamford Bridge FC and London FC were also considered. Chelsea were founded on the 10th of March 1905 at the Rising Sun pub, now known as the Butcher's Hook, opposite the present-day main entrance to the ground on Fulham Road, and were elected to the Football League shortly afterwards. The club won promotion to the First Division in their second season, and yo-yoed between the First Division and Second Divisions in their early years. They reached the 1915 FA Cup final, where they lost to Sheffield United at Old Trafford, and finished third in the First Division in 1920, the club's best league campaign to that point. Chelsea attracted large crowds, and had a reputation for signing big-name players, but success continued to elude the club in the interwar years. Former Arsenal and England centre-forward Ted Drake became manager in 1952 and proceeded to modernise the club. He removed the club's Chelsea pensioner crest, improved the youth set-up and training regime, rebuilt the side with shrewd signings from the lower divisions and amateur leagues, and led Chelsea to their first major trophy success, the League Championship in 1954-55 season. The following season saw UEFA create the European Champions Cup, but after objections from the Football League and the FA, Chelsea were persuaded to withdraw from the competition before it started. Chelsea failed to build on this success and spent the remainder of the 1950s in mid-table. Drake was dismissed in 1961 and replaced by player coach Tommy Docherty. Docherty built a new team around the group of talented young players emerging from the club's young setup, and Chelsea challenged for honours throughout the 60s, enduring several near misses. They were on course for a treble of League, FA Cup and League Cup going into the final stages of the 1964-65 season, winning the League Cup but faltering late on their other two. In 3 seasons, the side were beaten in 3 major semi-finals and were FA Cup runners-up. Under Docherty's successor Dave Sexton, Chelsea won the FA Cup in 1970, beating Leeds United 4-1 in a final replay. Chelsea took their first European honour, a UEFA Cup Winners' Cup triumph, the following year with another replayed win, this time over Real Madrid in Athens. The late 1970s through to the 80s was a turbulent period for Chelsea. An ambitious redevelopment of Stamford Bridge threatened the financial stability of the club. Star players were sold and the team was relegated. Further problems were caused by the notorious hooligan element among the support, which was plagued the club throughout the decade. In 1982, Chelsea were at their nadir of their fortunes, acquired by Ken Bates for the nominal sum of £1. Although by now the Stamford Bridge freehold had been sold to property developers, meaning the club faced losing their home. On the pitch the team had fared little better, coming close to relegation to the third division for the first time, but in 1983 manager John Neal put together an impressive new team for a minimal outlay. Chelsea won the second division title in 1983-84 season and established themselves in the top division, before being relegated again in 1988. The club bounced back immediately by winning the second division championship in 1988-89 season. After a long-running legal battle, Bates reunited the stadium freehold with the club in 1992 by doing a deal with the banks on the property developers, who had been bankrupt by a market crash. Chelsea's form in the new Premier League was unconvincing, although they did reach the 1994 FA Cup final with Glenn Hoddle. It was not until the appointment of Rudd Gilt as player manager in 1996, their fortunes changed. He added several top international players to the side as they won the FA Cup in 1997 and established themselves as one of English top sides again. Gullit was replaced by Villali, who led the team to victory in the League Cup final, the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup final and the UEFA Super Cup in 1998, the FA Cup in 2000 and their first appearance in the Champions League. Villali was sacked in favour of Claudio Ranieri, who guided Chelsea to the 2002 FA Cup final and Champions League qualification in 2002. In June 2003, Bates sold Chelsea to Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich for £140 million. Over £100 million was spent on new players, but he was unable to deliver any trophies and was replaced by Jose Mourinho as manager. Under Mourinho, Chelsea became the 5th English team to win back-to-back league championships since the Second World War, in addition to winning an FA Cup in 2007 and 2 League Cups in 2005 and 7. Mourinho was replaced by Avram Grant, who led the club to their first UEFA Champions League final, which they lost on penalties to Manchester United. In 2009, Gus Hiddink guided Chelsea to another FA Cup success. In 2008-10 season, his successor Carlo Ancelotti led him to the first Premier League and FA Cup double, and becoming the first English top-flight club to score 100 league goals in a season since 1963. In 2012, caretaker manager Roberto Di Matteo led Chelsea to their 7th FA Cup and their first Champions League title, beating Bayern Munich 4-3 on penalties, the first London club to win the trophy. A year later, interim manager Rafael Benitez guided Chelsea to a win of the Europa League against Benfica, becoming the first club to hold 2 major European titles simultaneously and one of 4 clubs and the early British club to have won all 3 UEFA's major club competitions. Now on your screen are some of their badges they've had from forming. Between 1905 and 52 they had the famous Chelsea pensioner. This was soon replaced in 1952 for a season where they just had this basic sign. After that, they went to a sign what looks similar to the one today. They had this for nearly 30 years. Then the crest after that was kept for another 30 years or so, or 20 years at least, whereas the CFC sign through the 90s and to the formation of the new Premier League. Then the following 2 signs, or the one sign, is how it is today, with the 100 years being for the centenary year in 2005. And finally, here are their honours. Now there is quite a lot to read out, but here are the Premier League champions, where they've been it 3 times, Premier League runners-up, which they were in 2007, the Division 1 in 1954 champions, Division 2 champions, Division 2 runners-up, FA Cup winners, a total of 7 times, FA Cup finalists, where they came runners-up 3 times, League Cup winners 3 times, League Cup finalists 2 times, Champions League winners once, but they also came runners-up in 2008. They've been the Cup winners twice, European Super Cup winners once, Europa League winners in 2013, Charity Shield winners in 1955 and 2000, Community Shield winners in 2005, FA Community Shields runners-up in 2010, Full Member Cup winners in 1986, and finally Zenith Data Systems Cup winners in 1990. So, we've finally come to the end of the show. Please subscribe and like the video, and coming up in the next month will be Crystal Palace's football history. Thanks for watching. I'm Oliver Eaton. Goodbye.